Brought to you by runtogold.com, the premier source for monetary science applied to geopolitical, international, and economic, financial news and events. Welcome back to the 22nd episode of the runtogold.com podcast. We'll be talking about how Václav Klaus, the Czech president, has sparked massive global warming protests in Canada. Well, not really. I just had a picture of a bunch of snowmen that had been built, and it looked kind of funny. You'll have to see the article. Anyways, Mr. Klaus, on January 1st, claimed the seat of the European Council as its chairman. This is a rotating seat every 6 months, and previously Nicolas Sarkozy, the French president, had held it. Mr. Klaus is a free market advocate. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Mr. Klaus remarked, "I don't think there is any global warming. Environmentalism and global warming alarmism are challenging our freedom." Mr. Klaus asserted that Mr. Gore, the jet-setting global warming champion, refuses to listen to competing theories, and he was probably referring to a U.S. Senate report including opinions from over 650 scientists who debunked claims of scientific consensus on global warming. Mr. Klaus's remarks sparked extreme public outrage in pristine Canada. All those snowmen just had to get out there. They didn't want to melt. Well, Mr. Taylor, he's a senior fellow at the Heartland Institute, said, "President Klaus is a human rights warrior and a true champion of basic economic and human freedoms." And really, that's what this is about. Global warming, this issue that they're raising, that Al Gore is raising, wants to have government be more involved with keeping the environment clean. But why believe or trust them? The doctrine of sovereign immunity is that the sovereign or state cannot commit a legal wrong and is immune from civil suit or criminal prosecution. So think about it. The United States operates hundreds of military bases, employing millions of people throughout the world with one purpose: to destroy things. They want to tear up, pollute, blow up, destroy, and wreak carnage and wreckage throughout the entire world. That's the purpose of military. A good example of this is on December 8th in San Diego, a jet fighter crashed and obliterated a residential home, slaughtering the family inside. Another example, after invading Nye County in Nevada against their will and inflicting nuclear weapons tests on their pristine land, did the federal government pay damages? Of course not. Does it assert the sovereign immunity doctrine? Of course. The violation of property rights is a serious issue. Taking care of the environment is a serious issue. Providing for causes of action against the prosecution of polluters is important. But the largest polluter of all are governments. Why give governments more power? When you subsidize something, you get more of it. Polluting governments are heavily subsidized, and therefore the world gets more pollution. So the real solution? Well, gold and silver are not mere commodities, but essential checks and balances in America's political machinery. The monetary powers and disabilities found in Article 1, Section 8 and Article 1, Section 10 protect against despotic inroads by government. They protect against pollution. How? They prevent confiscation through inflation, which is a form of taxation without representation or due process of law. If a sound money system were practiced, then the fruits of the labor of individuals could not be confiscated through inflation to fund nuclear weapons tests on pristine land, and thousands of other examples. And tortious actors, like the government, would more likely be held to account for their infringements of property rights, instead of being able to assert the sovereign immunity doctrine. And therefore, these actors, these tortious actors who infringe on other people's property rights, would be financially deterred from polluting, and that would most likely result in a decrease in pollution. Mr. Gore's assertion that more government is the solution is completely false. Government is not the solution. Government is the problem. More government involvement will only result in more assertions of sovereign immunity, And when privileged entities cause severe environmental damage, they will be bailed out. Dow Chemical's Bhopal disaster is a stark example. Under a fiat currency monetary system, in opposition to the Constitution, the government and other factions financially benefit from causing pollution. They get paid to pollute. The current state of environmental damage has been primarily caused because of government's interference in the currency market through legal tender laws. If the markets were free of government interference, and if property rights were protected, then the world would be a much cleaner and greener place. That's the real solution to this problem. Thank you for listening to the RunToGold.com podcast. This has been episode 22 on sound money and the environment. You've been listening to the RunToGold.com podcast, the premier source for applied monetary science on the web.